today we're going to get started by creating the line that the Christmas lights are hanging from. Here is graph number 1. Here is graph number 2. And then graph number 3. All right, so right now we are going to create this line, and it'll go from within the waffle on the left side to the waffle on the right side. So let's go ahead and get started with graph number 1. And to get started here, we've got to find where that location is. All right, so we're going to start from the outer part. Let me slide this down. We're going to start with the outer part of this waffle here, and just pick a spot anywhere on that side of the waffle, which is the right side when the waffle's looking at you. And we're going to count out 28 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. So this is how far we'll have between the waffle and where our Christmas lights start. All right, now, so I'm gonna come grab my blanket, mark my spot with my thumb, and then go to the underneath side and bring my needle up to start making my stitches. And as we always do, we want to make sure we pull it through and leave ourselves just enough of a tail for weaving in. All right, and I'm going to hold on to that tail until I get a couple stitches made so I don't pull it through. Looking at our graph, we're going to go 6 stitches diagonally. So I'm going to go across that stitch so I can make it going in a diagonal motion, and that's 1. I'm going to make the next one. So I'm going over and up to keep that as a straight line and go diagonally. This is going to be stitch number 2. All right. I'm going to make the 3rd one. And now I'm going to make the 4th one. And we're going to do that 2 more times. And that will complete our 6 stitches slanted. So here's number 5. And we're going to make 1 more, and that will give us 6. Now, if you end up pulling your yarn too tight and you can barely see it, you can always go back and fluff it up a little bit. and get them to fall where you want, especially if you want to make sure they're creating that straight line like that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I still got to make this one. And that gives us our first 6 slanted lines. So now we're right here. We're going to go across making 11. So I'm going to come up right there. And going straight across, this is our first one. Remember, kind of pull your yarn slow so it doesn't get knotted. All right. And now we're going to make our second one. And now our third one. Our fourth one. Our fifth one. We got 6 more to go across this part. This is our 6th one. Our 7th one. That's my tail. It's working its way into it. There we go. Okay. Now I got my tail out the way. And it might have pulled on these a little bit, so I'm going to fluff them up. Okay. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we are working on our 7th one. And 8. And now number 9. Ten. And our 11th one. And this will complete the line going straight across. And now we're going to go diagonally down 6. So we're going to come over pull our yarn through, and we're going to start our 6 down diagonally. So here's our first one. Here is our second one. Our third one. Our fourth one. And after this, we'll have 2 more to go to finish our 6 down diagonally. All right. And now we're going to do our 5th one. And our 6th one. All right. So now it's time to do the 11 straight across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, got a knot in my yarn. That happens. So let me get that fixed real quick. There we go. So we are finishing up 3 and 4 . 5 . 6 . 7 . 8 . 9 . 10 . 11. Okay. So when we look at the graph, we've got our 6 going up, our 11 going across, our 6 coming down, and 11 going across. All right, now we're going to do 6 going up diagonally, 11 going across. Then we'll bring in our other graph, and we'll come down 6, over 11, up 6, over 11, down 6, over 11, bring in our third graph, up 6, over 11, and down 6. All right, so I want you to go ahead and continue and finish this on your own. I'm going to place these graphs here for just a minute, so if you want to pause and freeze the camera or the video, you can. But also remember, if you would like to have these graphs emailed to you, all you have to do is email me and request them. Just request the graphs for part 4, or just say the Christmas lights. And here is the third graph. All right, so go ahead and finish making the line for your Christmas lights, and I will meet up with you at the end when you're finished. So this is what your line should look like when you get to the end, and then you'll have your space between where your Christmas light line ends and your waffle. And let's just slide this down and take a look. So now we're going to start our first light bulb. So let me bring in the graph, and we're going to do this first little section to be the top of the light bulb, or bottom, however you want to refer to it as. So I'm going to grab my black yarn, the base of the light bulb, and we're going to make 6 X's, 3 on top, 3 on bottom. And these are going to fall right in the middle of our 11 count. So to get started on this first one, we're going to come to our first line of 11, and we're going to go over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is where our first X is going to be made. So I'm going to hold that with my finger underneath. And I lost it, so 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And I'm just going to pull that through, and I pulled it all the way through because I didn't grab for my tail. So let me hold it on the back and leave just enough for a tail. There we go. All right. I'm going to make my first X. And then I have 2 more to make in that row. Make sure my tail is staying out the way. And it is. And one more X on that row. And that completes the first 3 X's. All right, so now we're going to make 3 X's right underneath those. And working on that 3rd X. And this will give us a total of 6 X's for the base of our light bulb. All right, and there we go. There's the base of our light bulb. So now I need you to fasten off and grab the color you're going to use for your first light bulb, and then meet back up with me. All right, to make my first light bulb, I am going to use this, well, it doesn't look very teal, but I'm going to use this teal color. It's kind of a dark teal. All right, to get started, we're going to make 3 X's just like we did for the base right underneath the base. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure I got enough of a tail. All right, and there's the first 3 X's of our light bulb. Mine looks like it's the same color as the base, but it is different. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit, if that will help. Okay. And now we're going to look at the graph, and we're just going to follow the graph. So we're going to come out one on each side. So now we're going to make 5 X's. And I actually grabbed 2 stitches, so let me pull this out real quick. There's my tail. We got all kinds of stuff going on here. All right. Gonna come back up through the right stitch. There we go. Okay. All right. Almost have those 5 stitches completed for that second row. And now we have our 5 X's for the second row. All right, oops. There we go. So you're going to just keep following the graph. You're going to do another row of 5. Then you're going to come out one on each end, so you have 7. Do another row of 7. Then you're going to come back and do 2 rows of 5, a row of 3, and a row of 1. So go ahead and work that up, and I will finish, or I'll meet back with you. We're back, and here is our completed light bulb. And now we're going to come and do the same thing on this lower space of 11 stitches. So we're going to come here and make our next light bulb. We're going to count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is where our 3 X's are going to be. So we're just going to continue following this pattern for each line, making our light bulbs. And so looking at all the graphs, you'll continue on until you have them all completed. So you'll just continue following the graphs, making all of your light bulbs at the same spot with 4 spaces on either side of the 3 stitches. And when you're done, you should have a total of 7 light bulbs. Okay? So go ahead and complete all of your light bulbs, and I will meet back up with you. All right, we're back and want to take a look at all of the light bulbs completed. So here is my first one that we did together, and then here are the other ones that I've added on. And let me just slide this down so you can see all of them. And this looks black, but it's actually a hunter green, kind of like actually a Christmas green. But the rest of them are showing up true to color. This is a neon orange. But I hope you had just as much fun making your Christmas light bulbs as I did. And now, for us to finish up this part of the tutorial, we are going to put the letters below each of our light bulbs. And again, we are going to be spelling friends. So we're going to start with the F, and then the R, the I, the E, the N, the D, and then the S to finish up this part of the tutorial. All right, so the first one we're going to do is the letter F. So as you can see from the diagram, we have 2 spaces between the letters. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to try to leave this graph right here where you can see it. And I have something that I want to show you. It's a trick that I've learned in doing all of this that you might find helpful. I don't know if you're like me, but it's hard trying to keep the tail on the underneath side out of the way. And I have come up with a way to do that. So I am going to share that with you. But the first thing we need to look at on our graph here is where the placement is for our F for friends. Again, we're going to have 2 spaces between the letter, but we're going to start right here at this top corner of the F. And so if we go up to the last row where we had the 3 X's of our light bulb, in that space before it, that's where our F is going to fall directly underneath. So if we count that space beside our 3 X's, it's 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, 4 spaces. And then in that 5th space is where we're going to start that first X. All right. So let's get that marked out on our blanket. So here is that last row of 3 X's. And let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see it just a little bit better. All right. So here is the row of our last 3 set of 3 X's. And here is the space beside it. So if we come to the bottom of that space, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is where we're going to start. I'm going to come down to the bottom of that 5th space, and that's where I want to bring my needle up. But I'm going to show you a trick. All right, I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. And this is where I'm actually going to pull my needle through from the top of the blanket to the bottom. Now watch this. Look at there. I can see how much yarn is left for weaving in my tail. So I'm just going to now throw that to the side. I'm going to come back to where I went in at and go back over 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is where I need to start. Okay. And if I look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces in between. So I know I'm in the right place. Now watch this. I'm going to pull that yarn through. And in the meantime, I've got my fingers over here holding the tail. All right. And then it pulled. So now I can pull it back. That is plenty. That's all I need for a tail to weave in. I'm going to push it back out the way. And while holding on to that, I'm going to come to that top right-hand corner to create the first half of my first X of my F and pull that through. Now look at what I've done. I am beginning to make my F. My tail is over here on the top side of my work. It's not on the back side, so I don't have to worry about it getting in the way of what I'm doing. It is completely out of the way. And at the end, after I make my F, I'll show you how we get this to the back side and weave it in. All right, so let's go ahead and continue completing our X for our F. And of course, I don't have to hold on to that tail anymore. It is secure. So all I have to do now is work on creating my F. All right, so if I'm looking at my graph, I've now completed this first X right here. And I need to make a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 X's going this way. Now, this lettering is going to be a little bit different from the light bulb. Now, you can do it however you feel comfortable. I'm going to show you how I do it so that it continues to be a nice and neat look, even from the back side. So we've got to make 4 more X's going across. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come into this top right-hand corner of the last X that I made. And then I'm going to go down into the bottom right-hand corner of the next X. And now I'm going to go to that top right-hand corner. But instead of crossing over to the bottom left hand, I am going to go into the bottom right hand to create my next half of an X. And that's 2. I need a total of 4, so I got to do 2 more. And that's 3. And 1 more. And that is 4. Now what I'm going to do is go back across and complete my X's, and it'll get me back to where I need to start making the base down to create the side of my F. And again, by having my tail on the top of the work here, it's completely out of the way, and I don't have to worry about it getting tangled up on the back side. So I thought that was a neat little trick that I had discovered and definitely worthy of showing you. I do apologize that after all the lettering on Stranger Things and the waffles and the light bulbs that I did not discover that until now, but we know it for going forward for the rest of the blanket and any future projects that we may do. And now I'm completing the last half of the last X, and I now have the top of my F created. And if I flip it over, look how nice and neat that is. Now don't worry about this long tail right here. This is our tail sticking through the front. When we pull that out, it won't have all of this, but I'll show you how to take care of that later. For now, I'm going to pull it tight again because I want to make sure that it's staying out of the way. And now we're going to continue making our F. So we've now created this whole top line right here. Now we need to start making this line and fill these in as well. So we're going to do 3 X's down, and that will get us to right here. All right. So underneath the first X I made, I'm going into that empty space, and I came up through the bottom left. I'm now going to go through the top right. I'm going to come through the top left and go down through the bottom right. And I'm going to repeat that in the space right below it. Again, this is working so much faster because I don't have to worry about holding that tail. I don't have to worry about sewing over it. It is completely out of the way. All right, so there is that X. We've got one more X to make, and we're going to make it the same way we just made the last 2 X's. And then after we finish this X, we'll pull the graph back to the table. And let's look at the middle part of the F. So now we've completed this X right here. We have 2 X's we need to go this way, and we're going to work those the same way we did that top row. We're going to start here in the top left, work to the bottom right, come to the top right, work to the bottom right, and then we're going to come in on that last one and work in the top right to the bottom left, top right to the bottom left, and that sets us back up that we can come finish these last 3 X's. So let's work that together. So I'm going to come to that top right of the last X that I made, or you can look at it as the top left of the X you're about to make. Come down through the bottom right, and now we're going to go up to the top right or the top left, however you want to look at it. It's the same hole. And then come down through that bottom right of the next stitch. And you can see we've got 2 half X's made. Now we need to go back across. So we're going to come into that top right, go down into the bottom left, and see how much faster again we're working with that tail out of the way. So glad we discovered that little hack. And here we go. We have completed those 2 X's, and we have the middle part of our F completed. Now all we have to do is those remaining 3 X's to continue the side part. So I'm going to come up here in the bottom right, and I'm going to go through the top left. And since we don't have anywhere else to go but down, we can complete the entire X before moving on to the next space. And this is the last couple X's, so it doesn't matter which side you come up in. And now we're completing that last X. And we will have completed our F for friends. And there you go. We now have, and I apologize, I was off camera a little bit. We have completed our F for friends. All right, now let me come and turn the work over. And I had pre-cut all of my black yarn before I realized how much I was going to need. So you will not have as much yarn left as I did, simply because I gave you the correct measurement. All right, so now I'm going to trim this. So we only have to work with about close to the amount you have left. All right. And then all I'm going to do, and you can see how nice and clean that F is on the back side. I'm just going to come up through a couple of these stitches that we made, like that. Pull it through, skip the last one that I went under, go over it, and then go right back through those same stitches. And that will secure that tail in. I can now trim that tail. And that part is finished. Now let's come back to the tail that we had from the front side while we were working on our F. And let's go ahead and pull it through. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to weave this in. And since I just weave through here, I don't want to make it really puffy. So I'm just going to come underneath these right here. I'm doing this left-handed and I'm right-handed. There we go. All right. And then I'm going to skip that last one that I went under and go back. My end is secured in. I'm going to trim that. And my F is complete. It is secured in. And then look at this. When I come back to the front side, there is my F, and my little tail over here that was out of the way is gone. And that's how simple that was. Now we're going to do the same thing for all the letters across. So for our R, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did with the F. We're going to find that row, that last row of the light bulb with the 3 X's. We're going to look at that space right beside it, and we're going to count down. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's time to start our R. Okay? All right. This is how I would do the R. Just like with the F, I'd create my first X, but then I'd do half an X going over. Then I would do half an X going down. Then I would do half an X going over, not doing this one here. And then I'd come back across, back up, back over, or actually you're going this way. And that brings you right back here. And then, excuse me, you can go down and do this row. Now, something else I might consider doing is when I get to these X's, I might only do like half of my X and then come back up so that I only have a small space here to do these. Or when you get over here after you've done your half X's, you can do half, 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 then half, 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 and then just do those straight down. But whichever way works for you, just trying to keep it nice and clean. Remember, there's always going to be 2 spaces between the tip of your light bulb and your letter. But to get started in the right placement, you're always going to start in the space right to the left of the last 3 X's you made on your light bulb. Same thing with the eye. You come to that space right to the left of your 3 X's, and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and start your eye in the 5th place. Now for the eye, I would create my first X, excuse me, and then I would do half, 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 come back, half, 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 and then I would start here and just do them completed all the way down. And then when I get here, I would do like probably half, half, half back, and then complete my 3 X's. Just the neatest and clearest path you can do. That way you're not dragging yarn across anywhere that it's creating a large loop on the back. You want it to stay nice and clean. And you're going to do that for all of your letters going completely across. You'll do the same thing with the E, the N, and the D. And the E, I mean, I would do it the same way you've done the F. It is almost identical to the F, except you have this line on the bottom. But once you get here, you can make all your X's at one time. And then your yarn will be over. Here, on the N, you can literally make all your X's at one time and just follow the path. With the D, I'd do the same thing. I would make your 1 complete X here, do half, 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 then come back all the way around, completing the other half, going in the direction you're going, actually, and then just work this all the way down and you're done. And then your S, for the S, you can do the same thing. You can work your 1 complete X and then work half and then come back, work your X's down, and then you can work all your X's over, all your X's down, all your X's over. Or you can count over once you get to this spot right here. Instead of making a full X, you can count all the way over and then start making full X's this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So go ahead and finish spelling out the word friends using the graphs. Again, if you want these emailed to you, all you have to do is email me and ask me for the light bulb friends graph, and I'll send it to you. Here is this one here if you want to save it and just freeze the video. And then here is this one. So again, whatever is easy for you, you can just freeze the video to use the graph, or you can have me email them to you. And if you happen to be someone that is coming along and making this way after we have done this for movie night, again, all you have to do is email me and I will email you the graphs. And my email is located on my About page, but it's Cynthia's Joyful Creations at gmail.com. All right, I can't wait to come back and see friends completed. All right, we're back and we have finished writing friends, and I'm going to show you what mine looks like in the finished product or completed. So there are my letters along with my Christmas lights. Let me slide it down. Sorry, I realized that the camera is shaking off the table as I pull this heavy blanket. But there's the R, the I, and the E. And then we'll slide it down. And there is the D and the S. And that completes this tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed adding this part to our Stranger Things blanket. And next time we'll come back and we'll complete our light bulbs with the words "don't lie." So this section will say "friends don't lie," which is obviously a very famous line in the series, in the movie series. All right, be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, make your own joyful creations, and remember that you are loved, and I will see you in the next tutorial.